Welcome to DreamShare, a bi-weekly podcast where we talk about dreams, share dreams we've had, and figure out what they could mean. I'm your host, Sarah Strunk. My brother and co-host, who's always here, is also in the background. But today, we have a very special episode. We have a special guest. Welcome, Josh! Josh is a podcast host of the Two Beer Queers. He is a beautiful, extraordinary drag queen named Ruth Allen Ginsburg. And he's a fresh, new blondie. How are you doing, Josh?
Oh my god, I'm so good, Sarah and Chris. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And Chris in parentheses.
In parentheses.
I am here too.
I am doing so well. I'm excited to be on your new podcast. I loved the first episode and I love dreams. I love all dreams.
Yes, we love people who love dreams because, that's what it's all about. Whoop, whoop. Anyway, today, I thought it would be fun to talk about, well, maybe it's not fun, but, oh well, we'll find out. Pandemic dreaming, because I think a couple months ago, we were talking, you were actually helping us, develop the podcast, and you talked about how dreams affect our everyday lives, flip that, how our everyday lives affect our dreams. And I thought that was interesting because I've been having a lot of pandemic dreams lately.
Really? Like dreams about the pandemic,
Yes.
There is a virus. Oh my.
I have stages, and we'll get into the stages later, but I've gone through it, Josh. I've gone through it all.
Oh my gosh. I haven't been dreaming per se about the pandemic, but I have noticed that I'm a lot more frenetic in my dreams during the pandemic. Things are just a little bit more chaotic, and there's a higher twinge of anxiety and everything that's happening. It's not calm. It's not like I go to my dreams and have a picnic anymore.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Also, frenetic is a big word. That's exciting. I didn't know what that word meant.
I say the word frenetic all the time. It's one that I return to because I think I exist in a state of chaos. So it's a constant descriptor for me.
Well, I did a little research because I wanted to know more about dreams and how our everyday lives affect our dreams. So I went back to, in the first episode, I covered the fun fact based on a TED Ed video and blog post. It talked about theories of dreams. So we kind of talked about Freud and his theories on dreaming. But the other theory that it talked about was that dreams act as emotional processing and therapists to us. So we dream to heal, we dream to take the edge off of trauma, play out scenarios in order to process them in ways we can't really process when we're awake, which I thought was really interesting, that our subconscious does more for us while we're sleeping than we really are fully aware of.
That's fascinating. Because I've often said that, I will solve my problems through dreams.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, I'll go to bed with something stuck in my head, and when I wake up, I'm just kind of that's how I fix it. It'll happen for me in drag. I have no idea what my look is going to be, and then I just wake up, and I'm like, duh, blue, there we go. The answer was in front of me the whole time.
I love that. I do that too. I've been doing my schoolwork in my dreams.
Oh.
Yeah. 2 times during this semester, I've been like, how am I going to attack this project? And then I'll wake up and go, that's how I'm going to attack this project.
But I wish I could have actually done my schoolwork in my dreams. Instead, I wouldn't have lost so much sleep in college.
Yeah, people are like, oh, don't sleep in college. But I'm like, yeah, no, sleep in college.
Sleep.
That's what you need to do. That's how you solve your problems.
Absolutely.
Well, do you have a pandemic dream or a chaotic dream or a frenetic dream? Did I say that right?
You did. You got it. No, frenetic. Absolutely.
Frenetic
I do.
Dream. Yes, please. I want to hear.
I have a dream to share with you. And so it's not necessarily about the pandemic, but I think you'll find there are definitely pandemic aspects to it, and it's also quite topical. So
Oh, okay.
I had this dream only a
Wait. We have to whoosh.
Okay.
So I'll give you a countdown and then we'll whoosh and then you can get into your dream.
I love it.
3, 2, 1.
Whoosh. My dream begins at the beach. Boardwalks, seagulls, and crowds of people. I can feel the mist of the water. I can feel the sand between my toes. And I can see that I'm wearing my blue bathing suit, the one I like because it's short and it shows my thighs. However, this is no day of fun. There's no bright sun or warm air. The sky is gray and dark, and the breeze nips at me with a distinct chill. And all around me, I feel it, like it's a physical presence. There's a sense of danger. The crowd seems to be going about their lives. Their kids are digging, the adults are drinking, there are beachgoers tiptoeing into the water. But I can distinctly feel something is looming over me. That something turns out to be the water. As I turn behind me, I see a long, tall hotel resort with balconies protruding at an even, regular interval. There are families on the balconies. They're enjoying the day. They're prepping to go down to the beach. But I turn around again, and I look back at the water that I was just facing, and I see that it's now grown in height. So what had once been flat, stretching as far to the horizon as I could see, was now growing higher, almost vertical. And in a few short seconds, the water now plunged dangerously downward onto the very beach that I was standing on. And I had to ask myself, had it been like this the whole time? Or had it just transformed as I watched it right then? So I now found myself at the bottom of a V. On one side is this large, enormous resort where families just continue to go on as if nothing is happening. And then on the other side of me, the other side of the V, is this huge vertical wall of water. And it's just crashing onto the shore as it would before, almost gently. And it would be inviting if it hadn't been for its staggering height. So I sprint. I'm now running on the boardwalk, avoiding casual walkers and bicycles and food stands. I'm trying to get behind the hotel to use it as a buffer so I can get to safety. And no one in all of this seems to notice me. Then in a snap, it's nighttime. I am now behind the hotel. I'm running from balcony to balcony. Don't ask me how that happens. I'm behind and also in front. And I'm talking to each person about this enormous wall of water that we're all just looking at. And it looks even more threatening in the dark. And I'm asking all of them about their preparedness. Are they ready to leave? Are they ready to go? And they all just keep telling me, sure, we'll go when it's bad. Well, I check the water. It's large. It's dark. It's now plummeting into the sand. But it's not bad. So I nod at them. On the sand, there's like a man fishing with a large white pole. A couple sits on a towel, lounging. And the waves just keep roaring angrily. And yet, no one's really bothered. And then I snap again. And suddenly, I'm in an underground pool. There's no water, but I know that this used to be a pool. It's large, and those black lines that indicate swimming lanes, those are all over the ceiling. And there's a crowd of people in this underground pool with me. So they're busy, they're shuffling, they're moving, they're all passing papers around, and I realize that I'm in a place of work, and I've got a task to do. So I look around me, and suddenly I see a friend, and I haven't spoken to her in years. This is a friend from high school. And I call her name, I say, Lizzie, and I'm using my professional voice. How are you? Oh, it's so good to see you. And she says to me, Josh, oh, I'm so good. Are you working here too? And I nod at her, and she smiles at me, and she puts out her hand. And I can see that she's holding what looks like little index cards with small black writing on them. She tells me, we're canvassing. And I look down at the cards again, and I realize she's canvassing for Donald Trump. So I'm in the middle of this large, active political center where phones are ringing, and people are buzzing, and people are in suits are running around acting busy. And I know for certain I'm not canvassing for Donald Trump. But about half of the room is. So I smile at Lizzie, and I say, okay, well, maybe I'll see you around. And snap. I am now out of the pool. And suddenly, I'm in my childhood home. I am sitting in our family room. It's nighttime. It's very dark. And there's a large bay window that looks into our yard and then the farm across the street. So I'm watching the windows almost like a television. And in the window, I see Chris Wallace. And Chris Wallace is announcing the news. He's saying, this election has been super close. One of the tightest I've seen, and votes are still being counted. And I'm on the couch, all alone, knees up to my chest, just looking at the stats and the numbers, all red and blue, moving across my window like a television screen. And Chris Wallace is saying, we'll take you now live to the votes being tallied in Pennsylvania. But Chris is gone now. And through the window, I can see into my front yard, and no one other than the Cheeto himself, Mr. Donald Trump, is out in my yard, opening a ballot box, reading the result, and then smirking as he just marks another tally for himself on this very comical, just like whiteboard. And so I leap up, I'm enraged and I'm terrified and I'm screaming, no! And I rush to the window and I leap through it. Only there's no window. There's no shattering glass. My body just goes right through and makes contact with Chris Wallace. And instead of my home's front steps, I'm now on a pier. And I have just tackled Chris Wallace and slammed him into the wood. And I'm yelling, you can't let him count the votes! You can't let him count the votes. And I'm beating my fists into his chest. And then I wake up.
Wow. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. Holy
Me
cow.
too.
That's insane. That's like the most stressful stress dream I've heard in a while.
Yeah.
Just, it hurts. First
It was
of
a
all,
lot of... Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say the metaphor at the beginning, like with the ocean. I've never dreamt in metaphors before. I feel like normally, like if I'm stressed about something, like, or if I feel insecure, my dream will just be like, "You're insecure."
It's
And
very
just, like,
explicit.
yeah, it's very explicit. So I love the metaphor. That's really cool. It's like your brain is forcing you to figure out what it wants to mean. But then the ending took a twist.
It did.
And that's like, my heart was racing.
It did. I've always thought of my dreams as like very cinematic, just because I've always loved
Yes.
storytelling and movies and writing. And so I do kind of dream in metaphors, I would say. Very often I wake up and it's like, this means something else. I don't usually dream explicitly unless I am extremely stressed about something. And then my dream will be like, my boss is yelling at me about this very specific thing.
Wow.
So
Yeah. But then also, yeah, like all your action, like, I mean, I've had action-packed dreams, but just the way you told that was amazing. What do you think it means? I mean, I can kind of guess what it means.
yeah.
When you woke up, were you like, what?
I actually, when I woke up, I very clearly remembered the last section of it the best, because like tackling Chris Wallace, like that's a memorable thing to do.
Yeah.
And I dreamed this right around the election, I believe, or right before. So it was just all in my mind, all this talk of voter fraud and ballot counting
Yeah.
and elections, etc. And I told I told everyone on my work calls, and I told my clients, and I was like, yeah, I just dreamed last night that I tackled Chris Wallace because he let Donald Trump count the votes of all people.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, I think on that level, it was very explicit. It was very like, I am clearly stressed about what the heck is going to happen.
And who is counting these votes?
Right. I'm clearly concerned about this. But you know what's funny is that opening section about the wave, that's actually like a sort of recurring dream for me. And it's not like a rewatching a movie recurring dream where you're like, and it happened again, but it's just a scene that I find myself in, and then I flash to somewhere else. So I don't know exactly where that comes from, but I think that might be a good just representation, processing, like feeling trapped in this environment, you know, like being in between this huge building and this huge wave and feeling like you have nowhere to go and no one's listening to you, I think is an apt metaphor for the world sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I also like how your brain took your stress and put it into this elaborate metaphorical and realistic situation, whereas like our last episode, Christopher and I's brain were just like, no more brain cells. I didn't dream at all during election week. Like my brain was tapped out. I did not dream at all. Or at least I could not remember any of my dreams.
That's fascinating. It is hard for me to remember dreams.
It's very unusual.
Yeah.
It is unusual. And one of the mornings I woke up and I sleep next to my desk. So they're pretty close and I use my desk as my nightstand. Mm-hmm. And I saw my top drawer, like where I keep my pens and pencils, open. And I was like, that's weird because I couldn't remember doing that. I couldn't remember having a dream where I did that. And I look over and on my desk, like next to my head, there's a pencil and a sticky notepad. And I had written myself a note. But I have no recollection of it. And it said it had 8, a backwards 7, and then 8-27. And I have no idea what it means.
Oh my God.
But I guess because I wasn't dreaming, it was like, well, we gotta write her a note so she knows she's doing something in her sleep.
That's like some alien abduction stuff. They actually just left your ID number down. Like that was their tag.
Oh, yes, I love that. Well, I don't like that for me, but like that's a cool idea. I don't want to live it,
Right.
but it's a cool idea. I thought it was like a date too. Like I started writing like 8-7, and then because I wrote the 7 backwards, I messed up. So I went like 8-27. I was like, okay, August 27th. What's gonna happen August 27th?
Oh my God, like a prediction dream. That would be fascinating.
But I can't remember, so I don't know what's gonna happen.
I guess what August 27th do they mean? It could be the next one. It could be a previous one, or it could be one 10 August 27th from now.
Or 87
Yeah.
August 27th from now.
Exactly.
I've predicted the end of the world.
This is the beginning of the knowing. Welcome. You're the
Oh my
protagonist of this apocalypse movie.
Oh, geez. Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you for sharing your dream.
Thank you for letting me share it.
That was lovely. And it was such a nice storytelling experience.
I am glad you like it. Reading stories is a hobby of mine, so I actually really got into writing this one down and like, how am I going to perform this? What's my motivation?
Oh, yes, that was my other thing that I noticed when you were like, I use my professional voice. I was like, yes, everyone can learn from Josh how to use a professional voice.
I know.
Because it's very different when you're working with someone. It's a very different
Hi.
voice.
Yeah, it's like it's the up and down of it to soothe, you know? It's like, how are
Yes.
you? Oh. That's how professional voices work. Happy to offer coaching.
Thank you. Well, I also had a dream recently.
Oh, I can't wait to hear yours.
It's very short compared to yours, but I thought it was pretty funny.
All right.
So we got a whoosh. Ready?
Okay,
3,
yes.
2, 1.
Whoosh.
I was walking home from the bus stop with my fake dream boyfriend, who was my real boyfriend in the dream, but I just want to let people know that I do not have a boyfriend, so I don't know where this man came from. It was a tall man wearing a dark, long trench coat. We went inside the house, and I went to take off his coat in a flirtatious manner. I put my hands on his chest and slowly undid one button at a time. I slipped off his coat to see he was wearing another coat with twice the amount of buttons on underneath. And then I woke up. Very short.
Well, first of all, I love the context setting of he was a real boyfriend, but he's not real.
I don't know who, like, I just felt like, you know, when you can feel in dreams that it's like, yes, this is my boyfriend. Then you wake up and
Yes.
you're like, I don't know who that was.
Yeah, just the accepted reality.
Yeah.
I would have loved it more, though, if in your dream you were like, this is my fake boyfriend. I'm using him for something. We're lying about our relationship for some stated purpose.
Yes, if I were the protagonist in my dreams, I'd be like, yep, so you gotta pretend. But I thought this was interesting, though, because, so in the pandemic, I love hugs in general, and I cannot get hugs. Like, hugs from anyone, anybody who wants to hug me. I can't get them because we can't really be close right now. So my brain has been giving me hugs. Like, in my dreams, I can hug people.
Oh.
And it's also been allowing me to practice my flirting skills. So in this dream, I was practicing my flirting skills, except I was blocked by the second coat with twice as many buttons.
Wow. I think you do dream in metaphors. Can I prescribe meaning to this?
Yes, please do.
So the coat is the coronavirus. These buttons are like the number of cases. Like what's happening in this pandemic right now is that we are all reaching this point of fatigue and exhaustion with all of these like lockdowns and pandemic life adjustments we've made, and your brain just really wants that hug real bad. But we've got this huge spike happening right now, so you pop open the first jacket and what do you find? Another one. This pandemic is still just going. No hug. That's my meaning for you.
So now Josh is going to be the host of DreamShare. Oh my gosh.
I can't take this from you.
I love that metaphor. Wow. That's like, I feel like you just like reached 10 times deeper than I was going for. Wow. Yeah. I could see that.
I think like if I lived in ancient Greece, I would have been like an oracle. People would have
Yes.
come to me and been like, interpret my dreams. And I'd be like, you're very tired and stressed. And life is hard. Antibiotics haven't been made yet. So,
You need a hug. Oh my God. Yes, it's very wise. Mm-hmm. I don't have anything as good as that. I was just going to talk about... I've gone through different stages, so I'll tell you about the different stages I've been through.
yes, that's what I want to hear about.
Yes, so the first stage, well, this dream comes a little later in the stages, but the first stage of pandemic dreaming was when in March, when it was starting to like become apparent that this is a problem. And I kept stress dreaming about going to events and realizing that we have this new coronavirus going around.
Coronavirus.
And I would get freaked out in a room of big people and be like, oh my gosh, we got to get out of here. Stage 2. This is when the hugging dreams came in. And oh man, these were the best. My family members, my friends, I'd all just like hug them in my dreams. And it actually felt like I was hugging them, which is crazy how the brain can do that.
Wow.
Stage 3. Everyone had masks with them, but no one was wearing them. So like, what's the point? So that was another like, we're back to stress dreams. Which is also kind of reflective of where we were at over the summer when we didn't really know what masks were doing or if we could have them because we needed to save them for the healthcare workers.
Right.
So that was confusion. Stage 4, again, stress dreams. But this time, it was stress dreams of messing up things post-pandemic when we can go back into groups, when we can go back into doing things. And I had forgotten everything I knew. I had forgotten how to do a show, like in theater, how to be part of the tech crew. And everyone was waiting for me, and that was just so stressful. I had forgotten how to dog sit. I let the dog go.
No!
Yeah, it was very stressful. And then stage 5 came the flirting dreams. I had 2 of them during daytime naps, which I never take. So I'm like, well, now I got to take more daytime naps.
Yeah.
And that's where my dream that I read today came in. And then the most recent stage, stage 6, this is the one we're in now, or close to, is cuddling with people, or almost cuddling. And the only successful person that I've truly cuddled with in my dream was Bram Stoker's steampunk Dracula.
You could have said anything. And I would have expected it more than Bram Stoker's steampunk Dracula. That's like a Mad Libs.
I just chose 4 random words and put them.
I feel like you drew that out of a hat. You used like a random word generator.
I watched the film a couple nights before, and I guess he was like the last figment of a man in my brain and subconscious. He's played by Gary Oldman.
A man in months.
All the men I see are in movies.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I woke up and I was like, that was so bizarre. Like, even for me, that was bizarre. Because it was also like this constant struggle of like, well, I'm going to cuddle you now. No, I'm going to cuddle you. And it was like this tension of cuddling.
Let the cuddle wars begin. I love that.
Yes. It's so weird, but good. In our final segment of the podcast, we'll share dreams submitted from someone in the DreamShare community. Though this time, I'm going to share 2 short dreams because they were submitted by Christopher and I's cousins, Cecilia and Cal. Thank you, cousins. So Cecilia writes, my dog, a black lab named Gryffindor, cool name, by the way, is a bit of a nutcase. In the dream, he was doing these huge jumps everywhere, and he's not very coordinated. He just hurls himself into the air as hard as he can. So I was chasing after him, worrying about him hurting himself. At one point, he jumped up a tree, but didn't make it and fell back down.
Oh, no.
There was this weird part where something that I thought was his bone broke. Ouch. Ugh.
Oh. There's body horror in this dream.
This is a Halloween dream. I thought his bone broke, but the dog was completely fine, standing in front of me, wagging his tail with no injuries. Except I was holding the leg bone in my hand. So that's terrifying. Any like broken bone, I can handle gore. I can handle creepiness. The 2 things I cannot handle are like bones breaking, like in movies where they come out of the skin.
Right, yes.
And eyeballs. I cannot handle anything eyeballs.
Really?
Yeah. Like the eye doctor freaks me out.
The idea of holding the bone, that to me, that's like, ugh, it's spooky, it's scary. It's like, then who was bone? Like, ugh.
Whose bone is she holding? Ugh. The second community dream comes in from Cal, who writes, I was searching around my messy room when I found a bunch of random thigh-high Halloween socks. I love thigh-high Halloween socks, by the way.
Cool.
One pair of these had big cartoon spiders on them, and they were super duper awesome. I was really excited to have found them, but when I woke up, I was sad because they weren't actually real. They were just in my dream.
No.
That's devastating.
That is devastating.
I've had similar dreams where I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And then I wake up and I go, nah, nope, just, it was fake. It was in my head.
Have you ever like lived your life for a week or so and like something that happened in a dream you just felt was real and you had to like unpack it later to be like, that didn't happen?
Oh, interesting. Maybe?
That's happened to me a couple times where I'm like, I swear I did this thing. And then I had to be like, no, you didn't. You dreamed that, Josh.
Me with hugging people. It's like, I hugged you last week. You're like, no, you didn't. We've been quarantined. Like, sorry, I hugged you in my dreams.
You were there with Bram Stoker's Steampunk Dracula, don't you remember?
Yes. Yeah. Well, if you have a dream you want to share, you can email it to us at dreams.dreamshare@gmail.com. Check us out on Instagram at DreamShare Podcast. Follow us for more updates and more DreamShare podcasts. Josh, do you have any social media or anything you want to share with the world?
Totally. It's only going to take 20 minutes, so just let me
Okay.
just settle in. No, if you want to follow me, Josh, on Twitter, I'm at JoshWillHall, and I just tweet occasionally funny things. You can follow my podcast. We're called the Two Beer Queers. We just talk about, like, good queer news, queer life, things that are funny to us, so that's enjoyable. And if you want to follow my drag, you can find me on Instagram at Ruth Allen Ginsburg, Ginsburg with a U. And you can just see me when I have makeup and fake hair on, and I look marginally prettier than I already do.
Ruth is a beautiful drag queen. I have
Aw.
watched Ruth perform and read story time for children with the Smithsonian, right?
Yes, I did a
Yes.
story time for the Smithsonian. I did one for a nonprofit in Virginia called Casa de Brumar. And Ruth gets around. She's reading on an upcoming podcast that I'm very excited about, and I think I'm gonna bring it back. So if you like drag queens reading literature to you, be sure to follow. You'll see when my next project drops. Yo, new novel dropping soon.
Ooh.
Fire emoji 100. Lit.
Amazing. Lit.
And that is it.
Well, thank you again to Josh for joining us, and thanks to you for tuning in. Stay safe out there in this wacky world of pandemic and dreaming and weird horror dreams that randomly reoccur. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day and sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.